more expensive than the airfare that you win, so you might be starting out in the minus. Let's go though. Round 1. Well, this is a mulligan. Very close to being a great hand, but I don't think I want to gamble on the 8 outs in my deck that allow me to cast this on turn 2. How likely is that? Probably too low, right? But like 33, I have 8 outs, which are 8 planes. 2 draw steps to do that. Yeah, 43%. I think I can do a little bit better on 6 cards, and my opponent also went to 6. This hand's awful though. Okay, we both go to 5. I guess I do have to keep this. Need to still rattle off land into land. Definitely don't want this. But I do have a reasonable early removal spell, so that even if I hit my second land drop but miss my third land drop for a while, I can do alright here. But like having 2 bounce spells when I don't apply any pressure is pretty awkward. But yeah, if I do curve into this Forerunner quickly and then search myself up another vampire, then the hand could be great. Though I'm not even certain if I want a vampire or just a random draw. I guess I can check my library and then still decide to search nothing. Let's see. I guess I shuffle the Squire's Devotion back into my deck, so I shouldn't just check. Yeah, no, I should probably not search, because now I have a Squire's Devotion in my deck. And it was on the bottom of my library if I don't search. So like these 2 are better. The extra land is okay, but I would want to draw a creature. This could be better. Snaphorn Sentry is alright. Yeah, probably not finding, though Skyblade of the Legion is not awful in this spot. Okay, I think searching was a mistake, though. I should have just checked my deck list like outside of Modo and then decided on something beforehand and then say no on this trigger, so that the Squire's Devotion stays on the bottom of my deck from this scry. Okay, got rewarded more or less. I mean, this is not that much better than Skyblade of the Legion, especially because it opens myself up to getting 2 for 1 by Golden Demise. I don't think I can respect that here when my opponent mulligan to 5 and is mana screwed. I need to apply some pressure, but it's definitely easy for them to catch back up if they do have Golden Demise. Okay. If they're actually just mana screwed and not casting anything, then this could be great for me, because then my bounce spells do an insanely good job of putting my opponent further behind if they try to stabilize the board with creatures. Unless it's like Chupacabra as their first spell. I mean, I didn't have bounce up the turn that I played this, so that's not actually true. Okay. But at least they clearly don't have Moment of Graving, and I mean, they clearly don't have their Golden Demise either, but that was definitely possible for them to just kill both of these with Golden Demise the turn that I tapped out for my flyer. Okay. Well, they were mono black. Now, just considering whether I want to bring this Nezahal in or not. And against black, it's actually not that great, because both the threat of them having a ton of 1 for 1 answers for it, even though you draw a card, 3 cards is still pretty expensive, and then Chupacabra just completely owns it. But I guess against black I could see boarding down to like maybe cut one of these Squire's Devotion, because it's kind of risky to put it onto the board against the mono removal color. Yeah, maybe it's just better to have like this Nezahal over 1 Squire's Devotion, but then my Famished Paladin also gets worse with fewer lifelinkers in my deck. Could run like pirate price or something, but then I'm giving up on my main game plan. I would really love to have those hexproof guys. Maybe just keep the Squire's Devotions, because they're just so high payoff. And throw out one of these Crashing Tides, because neither against the low to the ground aggressive black decks and against the controlling black decks does this Crashing Tide match up all too well. And I already have 4 bounce effects in my deck still. But like the controlling black decks are like Chupacabra, Dusk Legion, Zealot, all that stuff where you don't want to bounce them, and the aggressive black decks are like all 1 and 2 mana pirates where bouncing is kind of mana inefficient. Okay, I think I'll try this, especially when I'm on the draw. It's easier to get to Nezahal mana. Same hand basically. Pretty amazing, except I'm missing my white source. On 7 I still think I want to mulligan this. Oh my god. Yeah, I think with double Baffling Hand I'm willing to try this, but it's still pretty awkward. I have 3 draw steps for my planes, which is like 55 to 60% range. Yeah, the price also fits the same logic. I like cutting the bounce spell. Blue-black, okay. Yeah, I'm still kind of overloaded on bounce spells. And Squire's Devotion also not that great in the blue-black matchup, though Nezahal is great in the blue-black matchup, so... Unless it gets Chupacabra, and you can try and bait out your opponent's Chupacabra before that point. That is pretty aggressive though. Don't think I want to bounce it still, just hope to find my white stars to be able to Baffling End it. Well, this bounce I want to do, but like I didn't want to expel from Oraska at end of turn. Because double Baffling and Squire's Devotion should get me to the City's Blessing reasonably quickly. Upkeep sack, interesting. Planes, okay, so they're like Esper control. That makes it more likely I get wrecked by Profane Possession, sadly. Unless, yeah. I can't really think of many blue things that they would splash into black-white. No, they played Kite Corsair. Yeah, yeah. As I said, makes it very likely I get wrecked by Profane Possession. I don't think I can win anymore with my current setup. I do have Demystify and Cleansing Ray in my sideboard, so both of those help with this problem. But yeah, basically I am drawing completely dead to this. Such a dumb card. Can look at some more cards by my opponent, but I don't even have like a counterspell, so that I could bounce it to my opponent's hand and then counterspell it on the way back down or something. Just nothing I can do. I have none of the hexproof creatures to draw to. Just trying to see, maybe they show me like a counterspell or something. I'm showing them that I have Baffling End, so that makes it a little bit more likely my opponent also brings in a Demystify or something, or a Cleansing Ray. They should have already brought in Cleansing Ray after they saw my Vampire Forerunner. So I don't think that's too much of a concern. That extra information that I'm giving my opponent, I think I'm collecting more extra information than I'm giving out at this point. Yeah, that is also difficult to beat, because I have very few clean answers to it. I do have 2 Water Knots, I guess. I can gem the Squire's Devotion just to get the, I mean it's not even an extra permanent, just to get it onto the board where my opponent doesn't have Profane Possession open. What's the logic? I'm not even sure that does anything either. Yeah, Profane Possession is such a dumb card. Yeah. I guess those are 3 cards that are weak enough that I can feed them into the Profane Possession and still have potential of winning. Like, I'm going to throw Sailor of Means, that I recaller into the Profane Possession, and then hope I can get my opponent to transform it, and then after they transform it, I slam Nezahal. The problem is I still don't have many outs to the Air Elemental, and if they exile this Dead-Eye Recaller, then if I find one of my Water Knots, my opponent gets to bounce their own Air Elemental with my Dead-Eye Recaller from under the Profane Possession. Sure. So this does buy me some time, but in the long run the Water Elemental, the Air Elemental is going to be a problem still. Okay, so one of the 3 exiles is down. If my opponent taps low for the Air Elemental again, then I can put the Squire's Devotion onto my Sailor of Means, and that might entice them to use the 2nd exile. Not that it's much of a win for me if they do, but yeah, that one's probably too good to run out into. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So then I can put the Air Elemental on top of their deck. I don't have anything in my deck that like mills them or anything, right? I should upload my deck list to StreamDecker both for you and so that I can take a look at it as well. But like if I could put it on top of the deck and then get rid of it somehow, that would be sweet, but I don't think I have any of those options. So I think I just have to put the Air Elemental on top of their deck and hope they spend their time trying to exile this. So now I get rid of this. Hope my opponent doesn't have any responses. Like Moment of Craving, my Vampire actually ends up library, ends up basically drawing them a card, because the Air Elemental goes back to their hand instead of on top of their deck. Though they can also eat the token for free with the Profane Possession, which is quite the tempo loss for my opponent though, but then like it gets exiled and they don't add a creature to their Profane Possession count, so they can get like 3 exiles or 4 exiles out of this instead of 3. I mean, no attacks. Weird. A little bit weird. Maybe I do have to run out the Glorifier of Dusk and let that be one of their 3 exiles. And then I'm basically drawing to only finding my 2nd Squire's Devotion onto the Nezahal, because this one can't make any profitable attacks right now. And I might just lose the race. Nah, I don't think so. Maybe I have to. I think I have to find the Water Knot with this line of play, but I do have 2 Water Knots and only 1 Squire's Devotion, so it's slightly more likely that happens. Also, my 2nd Crashing Tide and my 2nd Dead-Eye Recaller can both stall out the Air Elemental a little bit. I have the Dreamcaller Siren as well, which taps down the Air Elemental for a turn, but that might also be too powerful. If I give that to my opponent for the Profane Possession, I might not be able to beat my own card there. Yes, that's a good one. I mean, I'm still in trouble against the Dead-Eye Recaller eventually. But that was the out that I was looking for. Because now I kind of have a stable board, so my opponent is incentivized to transform their Profane Possession quickly to get this Dead-Eye Recaller onto the board. Unless they draw something worth doing for the time being. Okay, yeah, the token exile is free for them, as I had talked about previously. So now they can restart attacking for 1. That is probably alright. It stops my opponent's attacks and is weak enough that I can play it into the profane procession. So yeah, I think my outs involve my opponent exiled something here, main phase. I go down to 6, then I slam this Nezahal, and then I probably still need my Squire's Devotion for the Nezahal to be able to beat all this nonsense that comes out of the procession. Because next turn they bounce this to their hand and replay it. That's pretty awful for me. So they exiled one of these 2 end of turn, transform this, attack me with these 2, I can only block one of them, go to 6. Then this activation costs 4, so they should have 5 mana available afterwards. So they put that Eye Recaller into play, bounce Air Elemental, replay Air Elemental. Then they have 4 creatures on the board against my 1. And I go to 6. Then I slam Nezahal. They attack with everything. I can block like the RIX Hauler and one of their ground dies. So I go to 1. That's not that great. I'm probably forced to Baffling End one of these 2 now, because then I stay at 7, and the following turn they also have 1 less creature. Yeah, I mean, it's not a great usage of Baffling End. Exile Elemental. That seems worse than what I was afraid of, because bouncing the Elemental leaves them in the same spot, except they get rid of one of my creatures. And I probably want to hold the island for the Nezahal ability more than I want to play it. If I play it out, there's some chance I top deck like Squire's Devotion and can put it onto my creature in the same turn. They do exile Elemental. That seems a little bit unnecessary. I mean, it does allow my opponent to put the Elemental back onto the board at instant speed, but they're just getting rid of 1 less of my creatures. And like, they would have ended up with the Air Elemental back onto the board as well if they just had just done the Dead Eye Recaller thing instead. Okay, that's actually not that bad for me either. I mean, it's bad in the long run that my opponent has Profane Procession and Ravenous Chupacabra in their deck, but it's good for me that my Nezahal doesn't get Chupacabra. Still need an answer to this Air Elemental. Maybe I need to run this out. Because if they hit me to 3 with the Air Elemental, and then they can bounce my creature afterwards, yeah, that's just way too bad for me. I do need this. My life total is still under. I should have played my land, maybe. Probably still wanted for the Netherheart protection, but playing the land would have played around the counterspell that makes me pay for more. Now probably the land in hand is more useful. Maybe the Squire's Devotion is enough of a reason to play out my lands, so they have lifelink in Nezahal. So they can now attack and then bounce my... Oh no, they can do this at instant speed. Yeah, I'm pretty screwed. Like, attack with their element and then bounce my creature before I block. I mean, that would have happened with the Nezahal and the Glorifier. At least this way I'm forcing them to do that, but I think then I'm drawing dead. Because then they attack me for 5 down to 2 and I can no longer get flying to this Glorifier. Ah man, this Profane Procession. I think I did the best I could to try and fight around it, and my opponent helped me out by exiling the Elemental. Maybe not. I mean, this line of play where they can bounce something was definitely good for them, because they didn't force themselves to bounce the Elemental instead, so maybe their line was actually better. But yeah, like having to slow roll all of my good cards because I had to bait my opponent with bad cards made it so that all of their good cards were difficult to beat. My opponent's deck is just way better than mine, and it's pretty sad that I don't have access to any counter spells in my entire pool, because this is the type of matchup where boarding in like, I don't know, like Negate and Hornswoggle and all of that would be really good. So I think I just have to rely on boarding in like 2 demystify type effects. Even though my opponent showed me few targets, it still seems important enough. And then maybe cut like one of the devotions, the Famished Paladin maybe, board in this Crashing Tide, probably board in this Pirate's Prize, probably board out another Crashing Tide. And maybe this Brainstorm guy, though he's pretty medium as well. Yeah, the line of play from opponent looked a little bit sketchy, though it worked out against what I had in hand, like in hindsight. Okay, maybe one less recorder as well. Just be slightly more value oriented, though being value oriented when my opponent has the better late game is also not great. Not sure how I feel about that. Maybe I just need these in my deck and Miser win. But it's so bad, like Squire's Devotion against the Chupacabra deck. I'm not a fan of that either. It is like one of my best cards though, so maybe I just have to risk it for the biscuit. Not a plan of any of my approaches. Like my alternative would be to board into like blue-green, then I have a little bit more beef going on, but my green cards are even more awful against Chupacabra, because then like Colossal Dreadmore getting Chupacabra is a huge tempo loss. The only real upside of that is that I get to board in Plummet for the Air Elemental. Don't like my spot here. Yeah, that's true. That's just strictly better. No, I think... wait. But attacking everything puts me to 5 though, so it's more difficult for me to give flying the following turn. If they only attack with the Air Elemental, I go to 3, then I can just replay my flyer, put like a Squire's Devotion on it, and then get flying on defense. And I can stabilize from there because I have a 5/5 lifelink against their 4/4 flyer. So it definitely had some upside what my opponent did. Though they probably should have still attacked with everything and then still waited on me paying life, and if I don't pay life I'm pretty screwed anyways. Because then they can if I don't pay life and block like the Chupacabra, they can bounce their own Chupacabra and replay it. Yeah. But they can make the attack with everything and then bounce after I make blockers. I think that's even better line. So I agree with you that they should have waited, but I disagree that that they have to keep the other attackers back. Because if I block the Seeker Squire and the Chupacabra, they just bounce their Chupacabra after blocks and then recast it. And if I pay life, then I'm getting screwed by the extra damage that I take. So I think waiting for me to pay life was definitely better, but the Seeker Squire and Chupacabra should be attacking. So kind of a mix of the line that my opponent actually went for and the line that you're suggesting. They can't lose their Squire, because if I block the Squire, they... I guess they can. But... yeah, I guess if I block 4/4 on Squire and Sailor of Means on Chupacabra, that works. Yeah, I mean, that's correct, to value it higher. Yeah, maybe I should just block differently then, and then it works. Okay, this is the first keepable 7, though. In addition to my opponent having... I mean, it's not the great 7 for this matchup either, because I'm not applying a lot of pressure. But it's better than mulliganing to 5 every game. I don't even think it's a sneak, because I don't want to be out-controlling my opponent in this matchup. Oh yeah, it is limited, but all the cards that I'm not using end up in my sideboard. Sorry for missing your message earlier. Yeah, so it is sealed, which is why we open a full 6 boosters and I get all the cards that are in the 6 boosters. In draft you usually have fewer cards because you only open 3 boosters. So our pool here is twice as big as it would be in draft, but I have no control over what shows up in my pool, so the deck quality with 6 boosters and no selection is still a little bit lower than when you open 3 boosters with other people around the table, and then you get to choose which cards you want and which cards you don't want. In draft the power level is usually a little bit higher. Yeah, Turbo Nezahal would be nice. Yeah, considering how little I have to do here, I think I'm fine taking another 2 damage and just Pirates pricing here. I could like Baffling End, but it's super mana inefficient. Okay, so I do have the full Nezahal setup ready. If I draw that card, I can play it on turn 5. I do have my Profane Possession protection, though my Squire's Devotion is still pretty vulnerable to my opponent's Chupacabra type removal. Okay, all the Sailor of Means. We're in a Sailor of Means standoff here. And next turn I will finally get rid of their flyer. Assuming I don't draw anything better to do against it. Okay. Get that out of here. So Sailor of Means parody. This type of deck is missing more card draw though, or my deck is missing more card draw. I really would want to have Secrets of the Golden City. No. Now I'm a little bit jealous. I didn't put it into my deck because I still wanted to keep some hope of being more aggressive. And it felt kind of low impact, but yeah, in this type of board stall where both of us have Sailors, then obviously it's better to have a card that replaces itself rather than not have a card that replaces itself. No protection for the Profane Possession as well. God damn it. Yeah, I think I'm in trouble here. I mean, on this board everything is still fine, but there's very few cards in my deck that help me in this situation. Basically just my Nezahal and my Glorifier of Dusk. And I guess the Dreamcaller Siren could pick off this Siren Storm Tamer. If I flash it in and surprise them with a block, that would be amazing. 3 Sailor means, wow, their deck is amazing. Their pool is amazing. Like 3 Sailor means a Profane Possession to splash that is very easy to support off of these treasures. Like all the blue-black payoff uncommons. What the hell is this attack though? I guess Moment of Craving? Yeah, it has to be Moment of Craving. Am I fine making that trade? I mean, this one, I think I'm fine not making the trade yet because I have 2 Sanguine Glorifiers to put a +1/+1 counter on this, and then I can stop those types of attacks. Yes. At least I'm getting rewarded for my plays. Do I want to slam this then as well? Then I'm super sad against Chupacabra, of course, but it plays around the Moment of Craving that I think they have. I do look smart. Yeah, I do play all the formats. I even played some Standard yesterday, but I didn't stream it yet because I knew I would be embarrassingly bad after the Standard format has already been around for 3 months and I haven't played a single match. But yeah, I might stream some of it as well pretty soon because the format is sweet, and next week we have Dominaria. So this is bad against Chupacabra, but good against everything else. Okay, let's just try it. I need to make some progress here. Standard, you'll unfollow me, that's a threat. If you're gonna say like unsubscribe or something, I might be scared. But I think I can live with you unfollowing me, right? I don't want judgmental anti-standard people anyways. Oh, God damn it. Oh man. Guess they might have had that last turn as well and just wanted to get my flyer off of the board pretty badly. So like Siren, Stormtamer, I blocked their Divine Verdict. That would have been fine with me. Wow, this is super annoying. Because now if I hadn't cast the Squire's Devotion, they would have likely Divine Verdicted it anyways. That's so dumb. That's so fucking dumb. I think I'm dead. This matchup seems pretty unwinnable for me because their card quality is just way higher than mine. This attack doesn't even do anything. They can just like double block with 2 sailors and this 2/2 and then I trade for 1 sailor. That's just awful. Yeah, and like I can top deck and removal for the air elemental. So basically, maybe I should have even held this because it doesn't do anything on the board. And probably I needed to top deck Sanguine Glorifier, Sanguine, no, what is it called? This is Sanguine Glorifier. But probably I needed to top deck my, like the 4/4 flying, 4/4 that I can give flying, and then I needed to make it a 5/5 with the extra counter. So holding on to this seemed better. Yeah, this was just stupid. I'm still drawing, no! Ah! Man, I played like one turn where I looked real smart and then I made a dumb play right after. Yeah, like now if I could make this, like sack some of these treasures, make it a 5/5, then my board position would be a lot better. I like blue-white quite a bit, but my pool is pretty bad. And my concentration of flyers is slightly too low. Yeah, my opponent's deck is so much better than mine though. Yeah, I like blue-white. Blue-white is like my second favorite archetype, but my version of blue-white is not something I'm happy with. Because I would need some secrets of the Golden City to reward me for ascending. I hit ascend very frequently, but I don't have much payoff for it, and I would need some Soul of the Rapids to go with my Squire's Devotion. Those are the 2 pieces of my deck that are really missing. So I think my deck is like a 4 out of 10 or something. Maybe like a 5 out of 10, because I do have like a reasonable tempo plan with all the bounce, but this was very much not the matchup for it, like bouncing my opponent's Sailor Means and Chupacabras. Yeah, 3 color green is like my next favorite choice. I kind of hate Grixis. I think Grix is kind of a trap. Yeah, I think you always want to be like blank-white, blue-white, or Temur, in my experience. Like blue-green splash red for removal is something that I frequently did. Like you splash the dinosaurs, the red-green dinosaurs and the bombards and all that. And other than that, you're like a blue-green fatty deck. Those are like my 3 favorite archetypes for sure. Yeah, and my opponent just profane processioned me out. Also, they had Chupacabra, Elemental, both of which are pretty insane and better than any card that I have in my deck. I can upload the deck list now, but might just be dropping